Firstly, hello everybody, and welcome to this session. It's all about everything you need to know about the NIS2 Directive, and it's a masterclass for the Irish organisations ahead of the deadline. Some of you may know me, but I'm Norman Newell, Sales Director at Renaissance, and I'm delighted to be joined today by three experts in this space. Peter Jorgensen, Sales Director at SecurityScorecard, Wayne Hollinshead, EMEA Director, Channel Director at Asimily, and Lucas Nieborg, Head of Channels Sales Energy Logserver. I'm sorry if I've mispronounced anybody's names, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. The European Union's NIS2 Directive is set to transform the cybersecurity landscape for the Irish organisations. So it's key that we understand these regulations and the implementing them effectively in order to get obviously our compliance strategies in place. It's to avoid some hefty penalties, which will kick in straight away, safeguard sensitive data, and protect your organization's reputation. So in this session, we'll explore NIS2, break down its key components and implications for Irish organizations, and provide practical examples, case studies, and some actionable insights to help your organization achieve compliance ahead of the 17th of October 2024 deadline. You're going to see a poll now, which if you can complete over the next short while, we'd appreciate it. And in the meantime, I'm going to go through some details of what we need to do during the session, if you wouldn't mind pushing on the slide. So this session is going to be recorded. We're going to try and make this as interactive as possible. So please feel free to enter in your questions, and we'll get to those during the session. I don't know when we intend to end the poll. So without further ado, Peter, it's over to you. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So yes, my name is Peter. My last name is actually Dale Inselset because I got married over the summer. So you didn't get that news, but yeah, so I changed my name. I'm thankful to be here today, and I'm looking forward to hopefully an interactive session with some interested parties. So why are we here today as a SecurityScorecard, and why am I here today? It's because we are one of the leaders within cyber risk ratings, and cyber risk ratings is used for two things. There are other use cases, but the two main things are self-assessments of companies and then third-party risk management of your vendors, which is playing a big part of NIS2. So we are here today in the role of a vendor platform that helps companies get visibility into the cyber risk of their third or fourth or fifth parties, which a number of articles are mentioning in NIS2. What we're doing in a nutshell is that we provide the companies, with visibility into everything from cloud providers, SaaS companies, different third parties. If you are having consultants in your realm, or if you're working with auditors, then often case you will need to have visibility, and we will provide you with this. We also do, in collaboration with our partners, different types of security programs, and help you also with other services. That could be pen testing, red teaming, or other things. What is our uniqueness? Well, one being one of the oldest companies, we've been doing this for 10 years. Our data pool is the largest of its kind. We have over 12 million companies rated on our platform today. And we have a number of collaborations that makes us unique. So we're working with the World Economic Forum. We're working with nations, with governments. We have the largest number of enterprise companies in the world. As something that differentiates us from our competitors, we both have a risk operations center located in New York and soon also in London. And that makes us quite unique because we gain visibility real time into these third and fourth parties and can be a helpful partner towards de-risking your supply chain. This is, of course, a very American software slide, but it's just to say that we do work with many of the largest organizations in the world, and we are in the main verticals in there and working with these companies. As I said before, the main use case today we're talking about is a third-party risk management, but we do also serve companies on cyber M&A due diligence, on various regulatory compliance as it is today. We help companies build a common language through executive level reporting, build a more KPI driven approach to de-risking cyber risk. We work with cyber insurances. We are the underlying data that a lot of insurance companies are using when they're building cyber insurance. And a wide array of public sectors is also something we focus on. The 17th of October is approaching. NIS2, as Norman said, will take when it starts and kicks in, it will be a new reality. A lot of companies have prepared themselves for this date, but there are also a lot of companies that hasn't done it yet. And why is it relevant? Well, NIS2 have a number of articles that specifically tells companies to have a different approach to cyber risk. The new normal will be that companies of a certain size will also need to attain to these requirements. The first being evaluating the quality of the services and having a more proactive approach to cyber practices of the suppliers. And that is not only like suppliers, but also the security of development of different processes that can look into that. So it's both the processes, the ways of working with your suppliers that you need to look into. It also says you need to be cautious in the selection of security services providers. Be aware of the security risks that come from interaction with companies in a broader ecosystem, especially in the relation with research institution of data analytics or data transformation services delivered by third-party providers. You need to take part in a sectoral supply chain, and you need to have risk assessment of relevant authorities. It is to identify ICT services, systems, or products that are critical for the sectors concerned, as well as relevant threats and vulnerabilities. So in this section, it's about that you need to have either questionnaires, assessments that are relevant to inspect the threats that could be in there. And there are, of course, a lot of different frameworks you can attain to. But the idea is that you know who your critical vendors are, and you have processes and you have assessments of these, and that can be of different nature. Some can be, if you look at the assurance model, it can be very deep inspections with pen testing and whatnot. Others can be simple inspections of, let's say, the cyber risk posture, knowing how the cyber landscape looks when it comes to your third parties. Last but not least, set up and maintain a tenable supply chain risk assessment and management process, considering both technical and non-technical aspects, taking into account the relative importance of the supplier and the criticality of the service delivered by the supplier. Again, here it's more on the assessment and the management process of things, new element being the management process. Implement appropriate measures to guarantee the security of electronic communication with suppliers. more on the communication side, where you need to attend to it. And when facing an important threat, notify the clients and the competent authorities of this cyber threat and the relevant remediation strategies. So when it comes to this element, it's more like you've been doing probably, a lot of organizations have been doing point in time, just a yearly review. Here it's more like, do you actually have a proactive or a very a fast way of seeing these threats, but also that it's on your duty to notify the clients and the authorities when it comes to these threats. So one being, we've been doing something before that was more like point in time. Now we need to change into a more real time of looking at our third parties. So this is like what we see as relevant articles that are specifically talking about your third parties, where we can do something about it. So NIS2 requirement, the new one being third-party risk management. NIS2 requires measures to ensure the security of the supply chain, including third-party suppliers and contractors. So how can SecurityScorecard or types like our competitors, how can we help you in this with regards to the third parties? Well, we can gain continuous visibility, so you can get real-time data on your third-party ecosystem. We can validate vendors' adherence to SecurityScorecard to security standards through our cyber risk scoring, and you can also send out assessment through the platform and validate those things. We can also help you prioritize where you need to mitigate risk. So if you have a prioritization, a tiering model, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, we can also help you look into what you need to prioritize through the platform. When it comes to asset management, NIS2 requires complete visibility over the information asset inventory, which can be effectively managed. Through the platform, you can gain complete view of how adversaries see you, but also you can create portfolios where you get that visibility. You can also, on a deeper layer, investigate vulnerabilities to drive actionable next steps in your third parties, so you can notify the third parties about their vulnerabilities. And then you can also prioritize how you should remediate the biggest impact to your business based on how you've done impact studies on the different vendors you have. When it comes to incident reporting, on NIS2, the notification requirement has been broken down into phases, with an initial notification to the relevant competent authorities required within 24 hours. So on the platform, you can discover the compromises that then triggers reporting requirements. We have something called rules, where you can set up rules based on when there are compromises, when there are breaches, when certain things are happening in your vendor landscape, then you can be notified through different platforms. That can be on Teams, Slack, into your GRC programs, Jira, whatnot, depending on how you have your tech stack set up, then you can get that information. That will enable you to quickly identify the cause of incidents and to prevent further losses. It also on you can say the analysis side, or when it has happened, you can collect, analyze, and preserve evidence to document that these events has happened, and it gives you like a trail afterwards and evidence. The last thing being technical and organizational measures and incident management. This includes measures such as access controls, encryption, and monitoring system on a customized incident response plans. I will provide you with customized incident response plans. You can test the effectiveness of your security controls while achieving compliance and protecting your brand on the platform. We are also looking into IP reputation on the platform, which is one of 10 scores in the cyber risk scoring we do. You can practice your incident response skills and identify gaps in your incident response plan on the platform as well. And then lastly, you can perform simulated real-life cyber attacks against your own organization. Those things is also part of the platform, or you can say the extended professional services that we provide. So the reason for us being here today is, of course, that we have a tech platform that can deliver some value, that can deliver scalability, that can deliver visibility into the third-party landscape. We do integrate with over 100 partners. So depending on your GRC system, your procurement system, your SOC system, whatnot, the data model can then be attributed into and integrated into these other platforms. So not only do you need to consume over our platform, you can also do it through other platforms. If you have any questions, I don't know if we're doing questions now. I'm more than happy to answer questions, or we can park it for the Q&A session.
No, I think we'll just keep going, Peter, and we'll have the question and answers session at the end.
Okay, I'm actually done with my part.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Wayne, if you wouldn't mind sharing your.
Yeah, let's get
Thank you.
this up for you all. There we go. We'll go into presentation mode now.
Thank you.
So again, a quick opportunity to say thank you to Renaissance for putting this together and for gathering the vendors that they've gathered together. I hope you all have gained value from Peter's presentation so far. We're going to move on with my section. Now, I obviously represent Asimily, and you can see from the header right away, we are all about securing IoT and IOMT, and in particular with the current compliance that's coming down on us all, we need to think about a number of the elements that Peter's already brought up in his presentation. And I wanted to take a further moment just to take a snapshot of where Asimily sees the challenges are. And we get this from understanding what our customers are looking for the most part, and making sure that we fill those holes that exist. So the first one, I'm sure you all can reading through the 6 points that we've got there on this presentation: lack of visibility. And it's all great to have solutions that are going to give you visibility at the high line, but what do we do in these specialist environments? Healthcare, medical technology is a specialist environment. No matter how we look at it, there are interesting devices that are legacy, that don't communicate the way that a lot of vendors would like them to communicate. There are devices joining our network all the time. And one of the things that this particular compliance is looking for is to, as you saw before, manage your assets. If you don't know what's on your network, you can't manage your assets. A second point, and again, it was brought up with Peter, is anomaly detection. It's something that we look to help all of our customers on, and understand that, see what's new, what's going on the network, where are there new connections, why is a particular asset connecting to perhaps IPs. These are all of the things that you need to understand. The IPs not in your network or within your network that shouldn't be connected to. We have a terrible challenge in the industry as a whole, and I think that that's just, how do you understand what you have on your network? What is the common compliance pieces? Risk scoring. I know that as customers and looking at all the vendors, a number of vendors have their own risk scoring elements. I think that at the end of the day, you've got to use one solution and manage that solution, and follow through, making sure that you're reducing your risk on whichever platform you choose. third-party risk, so again, it was touched in Peter's presentation, so they're very comprehensive presentation there. Third-party risk. Unfortunately, we have multiple solutions made by multiple vendors, some well matured, well constructed, well delivered, and some not so. And with every element that we add to our networks, we need to look to see whether they're compliant and what are those gaps are. And the last bullet point basically is NIS2, critical national infrastructure. Hospitals are in the category of the 5 focus categories that are there. Those aren't the only ones that we deal with, but just to share with that. So moving on to our next slide here, there's a lot of information on this slide. It's quite busy, but I think that right away within healthcare, we can see there are some challenges that those of you that have joined from the healthcare sector know already, and I don't need to go on about the challenges that they are. The main points for me every time I look at this slide is, you know, the operating margins that hospitals operate to, very, very low. In the data, and all of this is publicly referenceable data, and 1.4% operating margin is not a lot. So the smallest challenge, the smallest breach, the smallest breakdown in your networks, I'm sure you're all aware, crushes that 1.4% operating margin. And the number of incidents are on the increase. When we reach outside of our own organizations and we're looking at things like insurance, cybersecurity insurance, while it's not a true decision-making marker, it is when you look at 1.4% margin, it's a piece that everybody has to look at. And how do we rectify that? How do we optimize our spending? So knowing everything on your network is vital. As I hinted before, healthcare, operational technology, very, very similar in many ways, in that there are assets on the network, endpoints that are communicating in non-standard ways for maybe an IT professional. And if you're an OT professional, you'll know what I mean right away. And again, with MT, they're vendors that produce equipment that you are unable to touch. So you need to know within your network how to sort it out, how to segment it. And these are all of the things that create the mountain. That is what you need to do to become NIS2 compliant. So what we look to do is to, as I said before, understand everything that's communicating on your network. That's IT, IoT, and OT. Not forgetting MT, which I shouldn't. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of different protocols. It's a lot of understanding, a lot of ability to pass those, pass the protocols and surface them in information that's actionable. And that's a key piece. So what do you do to gather all of this information, to get actionable information at the end of it, to group your network, segment your network, all of these things that are making your network more robust. And that's what you want to do at the end of the day. I always draw on the analogy of 2 cars parked side by side, and you have a thief that has an order for exactly what those 2 cars are. When they walk up to the car, they're always going to look to see what extra security is on the car and choose the one that has least. And that's what we're looking to do. So give me a moment just for the slide to build out. So with all of this information that I pointed out earlier, a mountain of information, you understand what your assets are, where they are, whether they should be part of your network, whether you want to segment them out, whether you want to micro-segment them out, which seems to be a more popular path. What do you do with all of the data that comes through for vulnerabilities that are going to need to be closed up. They're going to need to be remediated. You can't be seen to not doing anything. And that's why compliance like NIS2 exist, because unfortunately there's organizations that have not done what they've needed to do. And our aim is to give you actionable data. So the great thing about the Asimily solution is that with that mountain of data, we pull out what's actionable and what you should be prioritizing within your network. There are many solutions out there that will just provide you the data and say, go and sort out all of your CVEs from high priority all the way down, from critical all the way down to informational. We will look at what the asset does, and you'll see we've got machine learning there. You'll notice I'm trying to stay away from that other marketing topical 2-letter piece that seems to join most people's presentations. That's AI. And with the algorithm, we're able to understand what your network's doing, what your assets are doing, what the vulnerabilities are that you need to remediate to close the gap. Nobody wants to be reporting on the gap that will occur at some stage. And when there's been a breach, that instant response, it's not good for the organization as a whole. It's not good for anybody who's looking at it as a public reference. If you're a public company, worse still. That 1.4% profit line is going to be eroded, and nobody needs that to happen. So that's what we look to do. This just a quick snapshot slide, and to give you a little bit of insight. So while it's all good and we're always super conscious of that in security, while it's all good knowing what the state is of your network today, Peter mentioned it as well, it's great to know what's going to happen to your network, what is going to join. Our solution gives you the ability, for example, to speak to purchasing departments and say, what is it that you've got lined up? What are you going to be joining to my network? You can say my, especially if you're in the security department, it is yours. You're responsible for it. Is it a secure endpoint? Are there more secure endpoints available from the same manufacturer? Often purchasing gets tempted in by, for example, a end of life product that the manufacturer is looking to move off the shelf. Maybe it's not that secure. Maybe there's a more secure version. Maybe you want to make your life more easy and become compliant at the same step with making recommendations to purchasing that then they're doing the right thing by purchasing the latest version rather than the old piece. And moving along. So to sum up everything that I've been sharing with you, you need complete visibility. NIS2 drives it. There are two very clear pieces for that visibility. Understand what's on your network, understand what's joining your network, understand what communication is going on with your network. Is it normal? Is it not? If it is not, get some action process in place. Let me just throw a quick example in here while I think about it. A great example of complete visibility was given by a manufacturing site that we were at not so long ago doing a proof of concept. They believed that they had their whole manufacturing site buttoned up. There was no communication going out. And we discovered very, very shortly in the proof of concept that they did. They were shocked. They're an American organization, and the communication was with China. So you can imagine the level of angst that was going on. And it was something simple: TVs. Nearly every organization has a TV. The TVs are nearly always connected to the network. There's probably one sitting in a reception room somewhere or the other, and it's gathering voice, it's gathering applications, it's gathering numbers of unique voices, it's gathering what OS it's on, and it's feeding it back. These are the things, a little bit more deeper into what NIS2 is looking for. but it's looking to make sure that we shore up our networks. Again, once you've got that information, what do you do to mitigate it? We give all of the advice, we give it in an effective way. What happens when you have the breach, the agile threat detection piece, is one, we've got a snapshot. We can roll you back to the place that the network, the asset, was behaving in the way that it should have done. And obviously, there's all of the reporting along the way that, unfortunately, if you have that, you are going to have to disclose to the regulatory body. And just finally, just to end it all off, a quick piece about that came from one of our customers. You can see it's on Gartner Peer Insights. I trust all of you are using the likes of Gartner and Forrester and IDC, etc. to help you make informed decisions on the solutions that you're looking to get in place for this deadline that's looming. And with that, I come to the end of my part of the presentation, and I hand over to you, Norman.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Yeah, that was very interesting. I think it's worth emphasizing, even though Wayne was talking very much about the healthcare, they do cover all the industries as well. So it's just worth mentioning. Lucas, it's you now, please. Thank you very much. You unmute?
Yeah, it's better now, I suppose. Thank you, Norman. Thank you, Peter and Wayne, for your part of today's webinar. Actually, there is a good opportunity also for me to summarize this what you said about your technologies, which can be valuable also for our solution to also summarize the information which we can gather from the whole IT environment. So the Energy Logserver CM is this part where we can collect all the knowledge about the organization in a one single platform. At the beginning, Energy is a European company which is on the market for more than 10 years already. So we are trying to show our idea of data analysis and working with security data almost on any continent right now. And our portfolio is well fitted to this, what you can find right now in a NIS2 Directive. It means that we have full ideas of how to collect and analyze the data, how to work and automate some actions in there, and also cover this need, which is still available and still on time, that we should also monitor the IT infrastructure from many different ideas. Asimily is one of the ideas, but the traditional IT monitoring is still on time. So today we'll focus especially on Energy Logserver part of our portfolio, where we can collect the data from any kind of the source of the third-party solution, which we can find in any kind of organization. Then we can start to show some use cases which we can build on the top of our solution. Means we can cover the incident management thanks to the CM functionalities. We have built-in empowered AI module which automates some actions and automate all the stuff which is responsible for finding those covered informations about our organizations in specific kinds of logs. We have functionality of the EDR solution, user behavior analysis, network detection and response. It means that we can collect many different perspectives of security incidents and different specific areas of the solutions from the IT market and keep them in a one single box. It means that you don't have to install many different specific dashboards and solutions. We can cover this almost in a one single platform. And if you want to show what we are covering, thanks to the thanks to our solution. Here we can see that Energy Logserver is dedicated for centralization of security incidents data, enables the collection and management of the security incidents data, facilitating the compliance with the incident reporting requirements. Log management and compliance provides logs monitoring, helping the organizations to maintain compliance with regulations regarding data storage and security. And the threat detection and alerting, probably the most important part, allows to rapidly identify the threats and automate some incident alerts and supporting the proactively incident response as it is required in NIS2, and also give the informations to the Energy Logserver part, which is responsible for support automated incident response processes, which are key to effective risk management in our organization. Incident management, of course, helps with quickly responding to these incidents and minimize the impact, which is essential in meeting NIS2 requirements on this point of incident reporting and risk management. And the reporting and analysis is, let's say, facilitates the creation of incident reports and post-incident analysis, supporting requirements for transparency of the audits. So thanks to both of the solutions, we can cover those needs that we have to identify and report the many different threats and malicious actions in our own environment to, for example, certs. Energy Logs Monitor is covering those, let's say, basics where we can continuously track the state of our infrastructure, which is responsible, of course, for providing the business continuity, which is a crucial part of our work in IT teams and in security teams. So to cover the needs of NIS2, we can split our portfolio for, let's say, 4 different areas. So we can report the incidents by providing the real-time monitoring and collecting the logs in one single place. And thanks to the SOAR, we can streamline the incident response process to write, let's say, actions. From the other hand, we can keep the risk management because we can, for any kind of the incident, for any kind of the entity and user in our organization, we can put the right risk score, which is crucial for further for further work with any malicious actions which you can find in our logs. And thanks to this, SOAR have ability to work with a specific path how we should solve the problem which was identified. Thanks to both solutions, we can work in one strict and most proper way, let's say, so we can cover the incidents thanks to the best practices which we can collect from our security community, which provides us some solutions how we should work with any specific kind of the malicious action in our environment. Both solutions, of course, can cover also those needs of supply chain security. Means that still we can identify malicious actions faster than without one centralized solution and provide the right actions to solve the problem ASAP. So when we are looking on our portfolio and how we can match our portfolio to the organization, it looks like this. It's quite complicated maybe, but at the end of the day, Energy Logserver is responsible for collect the whole knowledge from our IT infrastructure, from our servers, from network devices, from endpoints, from many kinds of third-party security solutions like XDRs, NDRs, CDRs, or those solutions which you heard today, for example, SecurityScorecard, which give us opportunity to collect wider knowledge about any kind of the incident which you can find in your organization, and have a whole visibility how it looks like in our logs and how we can solve this because of the best practices which you can find in right solutions. But still, you have one single platform which you can collect all the knowledge about this and give you the right solution. So the Energy Logserver, once it will collect the data, it gives you ability to visualize those data thanks to the predefined dashboards, analyze the data from many different perspectives, provide reporting by manual and automatic actions. You can check how the user behavior looks like in your daily, let's say, infrastructure. We can keep the compliances. NIS2 is just the example, but we can cover also some things like PCI DSS, ISO 27001. What is really important right now, you have to keep the data for a really long period of time, even 2 or more years. It means that you should have the right place to store all the data. Of course, for a security analysis, you need those informations for 1 month, maybe 3 months, and then you rather thinking how you can, let's say, push those data from your CM solution. This is the solution because you can just collect the data which are not important from a daily analysis and keep them in for example, disk array to which our solution have still an access. Thanks to this, you can still work with offline data, but from other hand, we can compress the data a lot and then keep them in a single place as flat files, which you can still search. The most important part is, of course, alerting module, which is responsible for recognizing the many kinds of the different kinds of incidents in our environment, and give us opportunity to put right risk score for any kind of the incident and resource in our organization. It gives us opportunity also to alert for many different areas and give the, let's say, right package of information about the incident to third-party solutions, like, for example, Energy SOAR, which is responsible for automatic actions for all the process of automation and standardize the actions which we can do manually, but we can also put this to automated process based on our workflow module in Energy SOAR. We can also work with the incidents in a proper way thanks to the whole incident management. So we can split the responsibilities to cover those specific case between many different teams in our organization or specific persons. And the really important part is also the enrichment of the data and give us the whole knowledge which we can cover and collect from the IT network or from the outside of our organization to give us the whole visibility for any kind of the incident. And at the end of the day, we can correlate and integrate the Energy SOAR, for example, with CERT in your country to push the information about the incidents right after it will be necessary. So the Energy Logserver at the end of the day is one single place where we can provide the hundreds of predefined correlation rules which you can use in your own environment. We have a wide range of third-party integrations with many different data sources and active systems. We can collect daily the knowledge about new kinds of the incidents from, for example, MISP servers. We can cover the meter attack matrix as well, and give you opportunity to work with those incidents in many different areas to have a right management, risk management, incident management, and compliance reports, for example, or such things like CMDB database as well. Thanks to our solution, we are also covering the let's say part of anomaly detection, and empowered AIs that give us capabilities to the Energy Logserver to significantly enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of SOC teams in our organization. So we can provide some different perspectives, like prediction of the actions which are happening in our own environment, to detect anomalies, not only in numbers, which is something common, but also in text. And we can find the rare words which are covered in tons of logs, which we have to analyze any day. We are providing the predefined models which are dedicated for specific vendors, for specific technologies from which we are collecting the data, to give you opportunity to just focus on a specific potentially malicious actions in those collected logs. This is the example of architecture which we can provide based off our solution. So we can hold the data in a small organizations on a one single all-in-one appliance, which is a Linux-based solution on a one single VM machine or a physical machine. We can spread whole the architecture to cover not the 100 gigabytes per day, but it can be even 1 terabyte or even more. So thanks to our solution, you have actually the one single platform for many purposes. It depends from your ideas. We have simple integrations with new kinds of technologies which you have on board. We can flexibly attach our solution to your organization and try to fit to those organizations. And this is also connected with our licensing, which is based on a traditional, let's say, perpetual licensing with dedicated support. It can be also subscription or MSSP part of licensing as well. And everything is dedicated and based on our number of instances of data nodes. This is our database, which is responsible for collecting data for a long period of time. Everything, it is, let's say, flexible the same way like our architecture. What is most important, we are almost not limiting anything. Like we are not limiting the events sources. Like we are not limiting also gigabytes of data per day or time of the storage or how many users can work in a single platform. And this is the, let's say, other idea for small organizations. We can provide full functionality of our solution, but with limitation for gigabytes of data per day, which can ingest in single platform, but give opportunity to collect logs also for smaller organizations, which are included in NIS2 Directive. SOAR is limited for created accounts in ours, not based on concurrent users of the solution, without limitation for created accounts. And the monitor, what is quite important, we can provide for small organizations for free those license for up to 50 monitored IPs in environment. We can also provide the specific additional managed services, especially for those customers who don't have the right resources on board. Why energy? Especially functionalities. We can localize our GUI. For you, it's not a problem because it's in English. There is a whole the flexibility and licensing, which can be at that, let's say, flexibly get into your, let's say, organization. If you are interested in, we can provide you some dedicated demo sessions. We can provide you the access to our demos to check how it looks like in your real daily life. And thank you, guys.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lucas. Appreciate that. We're going to open up the floor now for questions if anybody has some. Tara, would you mind releasing that? Okay, has anybody any questions they'd like to air? Okay, well, just to start it off, a couple of questions did come in over the line. And one of them, let me just get it, this was for SecurityScorecard, actually. What would companies prioritize when evaluating the cybersecurity of their third-party suppliers, especially with emerging technologies like AI? I know we weren't going to talk AI, but you know.
Can you rephrase the question, Norman?
Yeah, what should companies prioritize when evaluating the cybersecurity of their third-party suppliers, especially with emerging technologies like AI?
So I think there are two distinctions. I have a conversation yesterday with some CISOs at a dinner. AI is a separate part where you need to, one, oblige to the AI Act, but also two, have a different set of rules that is very contingent on your employees' engagement with AI. So there, I think it's a separate discussion to have. One, implementing AI in the organization, having AI tools. On looking on your third parties and de-risking and prioritizing them, you should do an impact study, look into what has the greatest impact when it comes to business, what has the biggest impact if you were to lose data from one of these third parties, and how is it like built into your infrastructure? Are you highly depending on it? So if there was let's say a breach or even let's say you can say not a breach, but if it doesn't work, let's say it's ADC, Citrix ADC, if it doesn't work, what kind of criticality would that have to your company? So it's like impact studies, criticality of the different third parties, and then prioritize and do a tiering model based on that. A lot of companies hasn't done that yet, so that's like the place I would start. Get an understanding of that, and then build from your assurance model, build your visibility into those kind of third parties. I don't know if it answers the question, but that's like kind of my answer.
Yeah, no, I think it does. And as I said, we'll take other questions, but people want to email them to us as well. I'm conscious of time, so just there's a couple of more questions. One's for Asimily. How can healthcare organizations meet NIS2 requirements for monitoring or responding to incidents involving their IoT medical devices?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I'm hoping that part of it was covered in the presentation today. Obviously, a lot of information being delivered to you all, so thanks for the question. So we have the ability within our solution to check the last best state of the network, and that's like a snapshot of the network when it was all functioning well, and then the ability to roll back to that point. Now, all of the reporting that's required for compliance, so you can get to the regulatory body and say you've had an incident, this is what the incident was. They will also be looking for how it happened and why wasn't it covered beforehand. So perhaps there's a corporate policy to not remediate a certain asset, for example, and that asset has been leveraged, let's say, and that would be something that would give you deniability for NIS2. It would mean that there'd be something from the vendor of that endpoint to make sure that a correction was put in place to make it more secure. Microsegmentation is one of the things that automatically jumps to mind, mainly because it's topical. The more and more that I speak to security professionals, they are talking about the inability to remediate. So microsegmentation is a possible path forward. Hopefully that answers the question. So a report gets done at the end of the day.
Okay, thanks very much. We're also going to pop up a poll, and we'll be sharing the details of the poll after this as well. Because I think there's probably just a little bit of time left. So how can organizations leverage real-time intelligence from SIEM to proactively tackle vulnerabilities, especially taking into account NIS2's strong focus on risk management?
Yeah, it's a really, let's say, tough questions, because we have to just wrap up the whole knowledge which we have in our organization in one single place. So once the SIEM solution is open, let's say, word, and we are trying to show that it should be the open word to which we should collect any kind of the data, which are even at the first sight are not included and not connected with the security. But once we are collecting the data from Asimily, for example, from SecurityScorecard, and we have our own solution which can also enrich the information about the incident, it's quite easy to identify any kind of vulnerability or malicious action in the environment, and then act ASAP. So it is important to react in minutes, not in hours or days. Once you are collecting the data from different areas, then it's quite easy to prepare this in a flexible solution.
Perfect. I can see we're just on the edge here now, so I'd like to thank all the speakers for their time. Also everybody who attended. As I said, look, feel free to reach out if there's any more information any one of us can provide. Come through myself, and we'll happily get that information for you. But thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, guys. Thank you.